Recession, the downfall of everything. The sad portrait of graphs taking red downward trends, businesses going bankrupt, stocks losing their value, people like you losing their jobs, homes, and life savings. A bitter cocktail of panic and sorrow. An inevitable doom that haunts our economy every once in a while. And right now, it's so freaking closer than you think.
Big debate right now is whether we're currently in a recession.
We're headed toward a recession.
We believe we're in a recession.
It's very hard to get out of it without a real economic slowdown.
So, what is a recession? The economy of a country can be judged by using a number called Gross Domestic Product, the GDP. GDP measures the value of the stuff that are being paid for in a country. When you buy some eggs or sell your car or visit your doctor, you are affecting the GDP. The more stuff being bought and sold, the higher the GDP is. An increase in GDP means everyone is buying and selling stuff. It shows the economy being alive, being healthy, doing good. With the same logic, a decrease in GDP simply means the economy is doing bad, it's feeling under the weather. And when a country's GDP has been decreasing for 2 quarters, meaning 6 months, a recession is happening. What happens next is what I call the cycle of loss. Stock prices drop, companies lose money and start laying off their staff, people who lost their jobs don't have any money to spend, so no product is being bought. The companies selling those products lose their revenue and go bankrupt. Then more people lose their jobs and more people have no money to spend and more people go bankrupt, and the cycle goes on and on and on and on. Everything loses its value. Companies, stocks, houses, assets, money, everything.
Will go. They're focused on the down, not so focused on up.
Can't look at it after you buy it. It's so horrible.
We've had an 8-day losing streak in the Dow that in percentage terms puts it on par.
This could be the most serious recession in decades. And that means life, as most Americans know it, is about to change.
But why? To understand the reasons behind the recession, we have to stop now and rewind to the time that everything was okay. The economy is good. Actually, it's too good. Businesses are taking huge profits, all the trends are upward. You're making money, buying stuff, having fun. And you're not one of the top 1% or something, you're like everyone in this booming economy. Going to work every day, getting a paycheck every month, and spending it every single minute. Until one day, you hear that because of the good economy, the central bank has reduced the interest rate. This means you can borrow money easier and pay it back with lower interest. It's cheaper to borrow money. Now it seems like the best time to buy that fancy car that you've always been dreaming about. So you go to the bank, you take a loan and spend it on the car. Eventually, everyone does the same. The bank is pouring cash into people. So they borrow more and spend more on the stuff they could live without before, but now with the extra income they can have. With a lot of disposable income in people's hands and them wanting more and more and more, the sellers face a problem. Let's say 100 smartwatches were being sold every month. The smartwatch company would make 100 watches every month accordingly. But suddenly, 10,000 people, 100,000 people want to buy smartwatches. The company, which is only capable of producing 100 watches a month, will run out of the watches soon. The CEO of the smartwatch company is like, what are we gonna do? There's so much demand for this, we cannot keep up with the market. And then one of the board members will be like, I got it, man. We will increase the price. So does every other company. They will increase the prices. When a product is less available, it becomes more valuable. So the smartwatch that would cost $100 before is priced at $200 now. making your money lose half of its value. This is called an inflation. Inflation simply means everything getting more expensive, and it usually happens when the demand is higher than the supply. It happens when people have more money than the stuff they want to buy with the money. You know, if a government is printing money or everyone is getting too much money or stuff like that. And it usually brings higher prices on every single item in the market and making the money less valuable. This is why the price of your car is equal to the price of the house your grandpa bought 60 years ago. But inflation is not always because of the rise in demand. Sometimes it's because of the lack of supply. Imagine a war which ruins a lot of infrastructures of an oil-producing country. It literally paralyzes the oil production of that country and cuts the oil supply for the countries which were buying oil. Then the oil prices will go up because now there is less supply than the demand for the oil. I think now we're almost clear about what an inflation is. Now the question is how an inflation turns into a recession. It's quite simple. You were getting paid a lot, borrowing a lot, and spending a lot, remember? Eventually, the government's money runs out, and you are expected to return your debts. Also, the businesses who took big loans have to pay their debts, and they're not gonna do that by paying their employees as high as before. Thus, you don't have the high income you had before, you have a lot of debt, but the prices are as high as before, because of the inflation. Your income has dropped, but the prices haven't. You have to cut your spending, you have to budget. And so does everyone else. No one's gonna buy that $200 smartwatch anymore. When no one buys the watches, the watch company faces so much loss that they have to reduce their prices more and more. But the people who don't have money to put gas in their tanks don't want to buy smartwatches anymore. The smartwatch company will have to shut down its factories and it may declare bankruptcy. With the company losing everything, its stock values, which were so high till now, drop to zero, and all the people who have bought their stocks lose a lot of money. The same thing happens for every other company. Because the buying power of the people is decreased and no one buys their products, they will reduce their prices, shut down their branches, and lay off their staff, resulting in a stock prices drop, bankruptcies, and a lot of people like you losing their jobs. Now, you and everyone else are jobless, penniless, and drowned in debt. But are we in a recession? Recessions are a part of the economy, and they're not always caused by the inflation. In fact, the recessions of 1929, 2001, and 2008 were not because of inflation. They were caused by asset bubbles. The 1929 recession, aka the Great Depression, was caused by the burst of the stock market bubble. The same thing happened with the dot-com bubble in 2001 and the housing market bubble in 2008. But for the recession we may face, the bubbles are not the main cause. Our situation is more complicated than that. When the COVID-19 pandemic started, many people lost their jobs and had to stay home. So the government started some support programs to take care of their people, giving them cash support, credits, tax exemption, stuff like that. This caused a lot of money printing. Also, for the same cause, the interest rates were decreased. On top of that, the pandemic has crippled the supply chain, which meant fewer products were being available to the people. Then, the Russia-Ukraine war has cut oil and grain supply from Russia and Ukraine and caused a dramatic increase in gas prices. I'm sure you remember that. So, in a nutshell, the demand was growing and the supply was dropping for everything. The result of all of that was the inflation that we're facing at the moment. With the global inflation and economic crisis, an upcoming recession is believed to be on its way, and even the numbers have been telling the same. But is it gonna be the end of the world? Not really. The 2008 crisis was a total disaster. Everyone thought that was the end of the world. But now, You're sitting there watching this video and the world has not ended yet. In fact, in the year 2008, YouTube itself was not the giant video service it is today. It was only a fun internet thing. Back in 2008, Blackberries were a thing, and iPhone was not that big of a deal. Facebook was still a startup and had not gone public yet, imagine that. More than half of our technologies were not even a thing back then. The recessions, as horrible as they are, will end. The market will bounce back sooner or later and the upward trends will come back. Everything will get back to normal. What matters the most is being prepared for it and surviving it, because it's gonna be a tough time.